Our illegal alien crisis is completely out of control. Completely and utterly out of control. And it is so unfortunate that we have another horrific story to talk about today of an illegal alien with a criminal history here in the United States, in addition to just being here illegally, who allegedly murdered a nursing student at the University of Georgia campus while she was jogging. The name of that student, Laken Riley, 22 years old. She was found dead on campus Thursday. Authorities releasing very few details about the nature of the murder itself, but he has been charged, the illegal immigrant, with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, that is, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, hindering a 911 call, and the concealing the death of another. Immigration and Customs Enforcement have confirmed over the weekend that this man is an illegal immigrant, that he was arrested on September 8th of 2022 by the Border Patrol after he unlawfully entered the United States near El Paso, Texas. He was paroled and then released. And then he was later arrested on September 14th of last year by the New York City Police Department and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 years old, a child endangerment, as well as a motor vehicle license violation. He was then released before a detainer could be issued, according to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. For more on all of this, I want to bring in an expert on this subject. Jonathan Fahey is here. He's a former federal prosecutor and a former acting ICE director under President Trump. Jonathan, good to have you back with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This keeps happening, doesn't it, Jonathan? Why?
Yeah, it's so amazing. And, we've all, you've been talking about this for 3 years. We've all been talking about how something really horrible is going to happen, something absolutely tragic, and this administration doesn't care. The reason, and you ask why, because open borders is their highest priority. They don't care about the public safety. They don't care about national security. They don't care about drug overdoses. And every step of the way, they've made that perfectly clear. They celebrate illegal immigration, and they condemn anyone that brings up any of the drawbacks of it. And you know what name you will never hear this administration say? I guarantee you will never hear the name Laken Riley out of anyone in this administration. And it's truly disgusting, because remember a couple of years ago when they were all lining up to condemn those Border Patrol agents and falsely accuse them of racially whipping migrants for racially motivated reasons. And today, yesterday, silence on this issue.
Yeah, and like I said, this is, again, not the first time this has occurred. It just keeps happening over and over and over again. You have the case of Molly Tibbetts, who was also murdered by an illegal immigrant who was here in the United States. The media were mad at the time when Donald Trump talked about it and said that this should not be happening in our country. You have the murder of Kayla Hamilton in Aberdeen, Maryland by an MS-13 illegal, a brutal slaughter there. This story just keeps repeating itself, and yet we don't get any meaningful change. In fact, it just keeps happening, and these guys just keep being released into the United States, Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not going to get any meaningful change out of the Biden administration. And what's amazing about this, and you've already seen the media doing their tricks on this issue, is now they're basically saying it's out of bounds to discuss the immigration aspect of this. They'll go down to their trick of everyone's a racist or xenophobe or whatever, pointing out that this was 100% preventable and it's solely the responsibility of the Biden administration. But you've already seen this thing that, I don't know if the new euphemism these days is Athens resident for illegal alien, because he lived in Athens, Georgia, maybe 2 months, and he's now an Athens resident. But they do everything to obfuscate what's actually going on. It's all these euphemisms, constant lying, but it's all open borders for political reasons, and everyone knows why they're doing it.
I used to hesitate when Trump would say enemy of the American people to refer to the corporate media. I used to think, that's a rough description for journalists. I always thought that, an enemy, that's somebody you reserve really, really strong condemnation for. But I don't know how else you view this. I'm looking at the Associated Press today. This is the one that's getting a lot of attention. The headline is, "The killing of a nursing student out for a run highlights the fears of solo female athletes." As if the story is that women sort of have to generically be afraid of going for a jog for fear that they'd be murdered. And in the piece, the AP refers to this as a random act of violence by a, quote, Athens, Georgia resident. And they quote a woman in the piece who says, quote, "It's unpreventable, I think, what happened to her." Unpreventable? I'm sorry, Jonathan Fahey, this man was in the custody of the United States federal government and the NYPD, and in both cases, released back into our country.
Yeah. In terms of crimes that are unpreventable, this one clearly doesn't fall in that category. And you're right. The other thing, the sanctuary cities movement, which is a full-on Democratic Party supports these sanctuary cities, including this administration. You've never heard them say anything negative about it. So that was the second time they had a chance to keep this guy off the streets, but instead they again put the open borders agenda first. Yeah, the AP story and a lot of these stories, it's such an unbelievable joke. Like the solution to this problem, I guess, is teaching people not to run alone. That's the solution. Maybe the Biden administration will come out with the run with a partner initiative or something else, as opposed to dealing with this issue in a serious and forthright manner. But they can't, because they've been lying about it so long. There's nothing they say that is even remotely true. The reasons aren't true. The underlying causes aren't true. Everything they say, it's false, it's misleading. They talk in this euphemistic nonsense, which will always be the clue to the American people. When the side that's talking in euphemisms is wrong and they're trying to trick you into something bad. And that's all they do, is utter nonsense. And this should be another strike against Alejandro Mayorkas, who has done so many things worthy of impeachment. But this is, again, solely the result of him pushing illegal policies on the American people that people don't want and certainly didn't vote for.
I mentioned Molly Tibbetts. She too was murdered by an illegal immigrant while she was out jogging. And that AP covers that I mentioned, just listen to these two sentences. I mean, they're in a piece that's unbelievable. These stand out. Riley's death has once again put the spotlight on the dangers that female runners face. Previously, the 2018 death of University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts while out jogging prompted an outpouring from other women who shared their tales of being harassed and followed. That's it. The entire piece never once mentions that this man is illegal. Never once. They don't even use the phrase undocumented, which is their typical euphemism. Nothing.
Or non-citizen, irregular migrant, or whatever nonsense they have. Yeah, the real issue is jogging. If we could just prevent jogging, everyone will be safe. It's such utter nonsense, and the American people deserve so much better from the government, so much better from the media. I mean, it's just it's an insult. I think people see right through it, and you see these polls where the media polls so low in trustworthiness and everything, and it's so well deserved. And you do wonder, who are the people that actually trust them now? I don't know. I think it's more a function of the people that agree with them and say they trust them. But it's so bad when you see this story, and immediately we're going to turn on. The people that mention it are now going to be the bad guys. We're going to be the bad guys for bringing it up. We're going to be the bad guys for bringing up the immigration status, and that's what's really out of bounds. Not the murder.
Go ahead, call me the bad guy. I don't care. I mean, I'm at this point.
Exactly.
Like, just go for it. Just give this story the attention it deserves, because boy, does it deserve attention. I mean, what's happening here? And one of the things the left likes to say, Jonathan Fahey, is, well, Americans commit crimes too, and how come you're not as concerned about that? I am concerned about that. In fact, we have enough of a crime problem on our own. We shouldn't be importing more of it from third world countries.
Yeah, exactly. Lock up the Americans who commit the crimes too. We're all for that as well. But again, that's the game. And they also play the fun game when they say, well, we can't arrest people here for being here illegally because as victims of crime, they won't report crime. So they, on one hand, say illegal aliens are victims of crime that's great, higher level, but it's unreported. But then again, they're not committing crimes at the same rate. It's like, which one is true? Because are there a bunch of unreported crimes involving illegal aliens or not? But again, the real issue is we had a dangerous person that had no right to be here. We let him in for political reasons. We let him out again for political reasons in New York, and he murdered a young woman in Georgia. her life's over. Her family's life's ruined. Her family's life is ruined for all intents and purposes, and the community down there will suffer for a long time because of it.
Okay, let me ask you a question related to your prior work as the former acting ICE director, and I'm guessing you're still dialed in with that world. It's got to be weird to be an ICE agent, actually maddening to be an ICE agent under Joe Biden, because the point is you're supposed to be getting illegal foreign nationals out of our country. That's your job. And the Biden administration is working like crazy to prevent you from doing that. And Democrats across the country, for that matter, these sanctuary cities where Immigration and Customs Enforcement is still sending detainer requests. Please keep this person. Please hold on to them. We'd like to take them into custody. And you've got these Democrat cities like New York and Chicago saying, no, up yours. We're not going to do that. We're not going to share information with you. We're going to smuggle people out the back of courtrooms. We're going to hide them from you so you cannot take them into custody. It's got to feel like these ICE agents can't even do their job, whether it's from their federal boss or these cities that refuse to work with them.
Yeah, it's so unfair because these are people that take the same oath that Alejandro Mayorkas took, but they take it seriously. And to have your boss just basically take this oath, enforce the law, and just flout the law, and not only that, but does everything he can to undermine their mission. You know, I mentioned earlier falsely accusing Border Patrol agents of whipping migrants, but all of these things are to undermine the agents, put them in greater danger, make it harder for them to do their job, and when they try to do their job, they punish them. And the morale is so unbelievably low, and it's wonderful that we have people that are even still willing to do it, but they've crushed their morale, but they don't care. They've treated them like the bad guys. I mean, they've put out so many false narratives about ICE agents. You know, they want to prevent them from making arrests in schools and churches and ICU units, like that somehow is happening. But they try to do that to demonize these agents, to delegitimize what they do. And again, the sanctuary city thing is the most amazing thing because when Biden's out there now pretending that he's into this issue, it's like, well, why don't you say something about sanctuary cities? Can you at least do that? Or can you at least agree to remove felons at this point? Because they don't even do that, as you know. It's like you have to be convicted of an aggravated felony plus have a bunch of other factors, and then maybe they'll deport you. And this administration's fine with that. Joe Biden campaigned on that, and they campaigned on nullifying the civil immigration law when every one of those Democratic candidates at the debate back in, either probably 2019, 2020, raised their hand saying, if you're here illegally, you get to stay, you will never be deported. Yeah. And in fact, that's what they've done. And they get every benefit that American citizens get, plus they get free phones, plus no one's even allowed to criticize them. It's quite a deal they've struck for them. And of course people are going to come.
Finally, Jonathan Fahey, having been in the business of helping enforce the immigration laws of our country, Donald Trump as a candidate is now vowing to bring about the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. He said this weekend that his priorities are to seal the border and then to deport everyone who's here illegally. How feasible is this? What can be done?
I think what's realistically that can be done, the border can be sealed. We know things like walls work from what's going on in Texas right now. So what really could be done feasibly is seal the border and start removing people here that have been convicted of crimes. Start removing the 1 million+ people that already have orders of removal. And that will immediately deter people from coming in because they know they're not getting to come in. They could also prosecute people that come through non-ports of entry for illegal entry, which is a misdemeanor. Keep them in jail, kick them out. Illegal reentry, if they've done it before, that's a felony, and kick them out. And the people will stop coming if they know the benefits stop and their risk of getting kicked out increases because they're paying $7,000 to $10,000 to get here. So if they think they're going to get turned around, they're not going to do it anymore. And I think things could turn around quite quickly. Obviously, we'll hear this, you can't deport everyone at once thing. So therefore what? You're just never supposed to try. But at least I think the American people should, all agree on, let's get rid of the criminals and let's get rid of the people that have already been ordered deported that this administration still thinks should get to stay.
Yeah. And I remember was it Romney who said years ago self-deportation was what he was advocating for. And he was mocked for that, and I mock Romney for all sorts of things. I'm not sure I would mock him for that though if they could actually get E-Verify in place. If they create a system where it's impossible to work in the United States and to and to sap from our system as an illegal alien, such that you have to actually like leave the country to go make a living. That seems like a reasonable way to get this done, in addition to outright deportation efforts.
Yeah, exactly. It would take away the incentive. If they have to have E-Verify, they wouldn't have the ability to work, and then that would be a good step to getting rid of this problem, but also take away public benefits. There should be no public benefits for American citizens should be put first, at least occasionally, and this administration has always put them last. They put illegal aliens ahead of American citizens every single time, and they're doing it with Laken Riley, which is so sad because they clearly don't care, and they're not going to say a single thing about it.
Yeah, it's just what a tragedy. All right, Jonathan Fahey, thank you very much for helping us cover it. I really appreciate your time today, as always, sir.